All right. Welcome to the 2022 High Lonesome Lottery. We're stoked you're joining us. We wish you were here in person, but due to, once again, COVID, we are doing this virtually. We have a pretty good crew here, though, so we're excited for tonight. This is Crystal. She is with Laws and will be giving us some good whiskey notes in a little bit. I'm Caleb. I'm the race director. This is David Fox, our volunteer coordinator and 2021 finisher. Yeah, and then this is Kelsey. She is the operations director and co-owner and also happens to be my wife. We're really stoked you're joining us. We wish you were here. We did postpone the party, so hopefully you can make the postponed one, which is March 19th. It's a couple months away still, so hopefully the world settles back down and starts behaving itself, and we can see you in person. For tonight, what we've got going on, that needs to be a speaker view. No worries. Cool. I think you have to make us bigger. So as we figure out our technical difficulties, what we've got going on tonight is a couple of things. We're going to start off with a little bit from Laws because we're here at the Barrel House at Laws Whiskey, which is in Denver. And we've hosted our party here every year from the very beginning, and it's a great time. So we're psyched that we can be here virtually. So thanks for having us. After that, we'll get down to the nuts and bolts of the lottery. So we have Garrett Christensen, our lottery coordinator, the guy who coded the lottery and has done a lot of the work. So he's going to be spending a decent time talking about like how that's going on and being on the back end to make sure the lottery happens. Then we'll read off the names. We've got some folks here that are going to help us read off, so it's not just our pretty faces on screen the whole time. Then we'll do a Q&A, which hopefully most of you have logged in and can send us questions through the YouTube chat function. We'll have someone back there passing good questions forward. So if you have any, especially if you get into the race and you're stoked, it's a great chance to ask previous finishers some good questions. David's going to be moderating that. So if you want to bribe him, use the chat box to ask your questions. And then we'll switch over to the race entry raffle, which is to benefit CFI, which is Colorado 14ers Initiative. We've got Brian, their development coordinator here, who's going to be up here with us drawing two people. We're going to get the lucky winner and then a backup, just in case the lucky winner for some reason decides they don't want it, which would be confusing because they paid to get it. We'll see.
But we'll take your money.
Well, CFI will take your money. And then we'll just close out with a cheers and a toast, and we'll let you guys get back to your night. So thanks for being here, and we'll turn it over to Mark Erickson, who's also with Laws.
Hey everyone, I'm sorry I can't be joining you from the Barrel Warehouse, but my name is Mark Erickson. I'm the brand director at Laws Whiskey House. I know many of you have been part of this community and part of this race for a long time. We feel super fortunate to actually have been connected to Caleb before this race was even a real race. It was just an idea. Caleb met with us and talked us through the set of values and the commitment and what he really wanted this race to be, and really sold us almost on the spot. It's probably the easiest pitch meeting that Caleb's ever had. But in all seriousness, it's that same set of values and that same commitment that connects us to High Lonesome today. It's why we continue to be a sponsor and will be for forever. And so same set of values that we think connects us to you all, to all the runners in the High Lonesome community. If you've been to our distillery or you've picked up one of the High Lonesome bottles, you've seen printed on the side, there are no shortcuts. And it's that guiding statement is really what guides us at Laws Whiskey House and everything that we do. And we think it's this same statement that connects us to this community, from how you live your day-to-day lives, to your approach to training, to racing and competing in one of the most grueling athletic endeavors on planet Earth. We're super blown away and inspired by you all. It really kind of reinforces that no shortcuts approach for us and connects us to you in a really exciting way. So cheers to you all. So we can't think of a better way to mark this occasion and kick off this evening than with a whiskey tasting. Crystal, who was just introduced to you all, leads our tasting room, is an expert in all things whiskey. She's going to take you through a tasting of our 4-grain bourbon. This may be a bottle that you have at home, and if so, we encourage you to follow along. If not, it's something that you can look forward to for this year's race. We're gonna be doing the same sort of thing where we provide a bottle to every runner. And even if you don't have a bottle of Laws, I think the tasting will still be really fun if you have another bottle from another brand. Some of the techniques for tasting that Crystal will describe will still be really fun and useful. So cheers to you all. Good luck with the lottery tonight and with everything this year. Over to you now, Crystal.
Thank you so much for that intro, Mark, and welcome everyone to this virtual High Lonesome lottery. My name is Crystal and I'm the tasting room manager here at Laws Whiskey House. So if you have been on a tour before, you may have experienced this guided whiskey tasting, but if not, no worries. I'm gonna walk you through a quick little tutorial on how we as distillers dissect and pick up any nuances on our whiskey. So like Mark said, some of you watching this evening are veterans of the race. So you may have gotten one of these special engraved bottles before. You might be hanging on to it. You might be saying to yourself, oh, I want to wait for a special occasion. And if COVID has taught us nothing, it's we can't wait for tomorrow, right? So I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to get that bottle, crack it open, share some whiskey with us. So feel free to grab that right now. Like Mark said, if you don't have a bottle of Laws whiskey handy, no worries. Our tasting room is located at, no, I'm just kidding. You can go ahead and just grab any bottle of whiskey. Heck, even if you have vodka or tequila, no one's gonna judge you tonight, right? So just get something in your glass so that we can kind of walk through this process together. So first thing, get something in a glass, right? The next step that we do here when we do a guided whiskey tasting is we want you to remember that with whiskey or any kind of aged spirit, something that spent time maturating in a barrel, there's going to be some deeper nuanced notes that your palate may not necessarily pick up, but have no fear. Your nose is there to grab all of those nuances. So our palates can detect maybe 5 major palate zones, right? We've all seen that diagram of our tongue. But our nose, our olfactories can detect up to 3 trillion different smells and nuances, right? So a big part of how we taste whiskey is we actually nose that whiskey, right? So grab your glass, kind of rock it back and forth underneath your nose. Cautionary tale, right? This is not a beautiful Barolo from Italy. We don't want you to dig your nose deep into this glass. You will singe your olfactories, kind of like burning your tongue on a hot piece of pizza, right? It's not going to stop you from finishing the pizza, but it definitely affects a little bit of that flavor, right? So go ahead, take this glass. I like to use my chin as a little guidepost, and I just kind of rock this glass back and forth across my chin, right? That helps me not get my nose too deep into it. And the kicker here, part your lips, right? So that you're breathing in through your mouth as well as your nose, right? If you don't believe me, try smelling the glass with your mouth closed, then try smelling it with your mouth just slightly open, right? So just do that a couple good times here. And other than alcohol, college, possibly regrets, what else do you all smell on this glass, right? And I've got some panelists here to give us some nosing notes here too. So, right, we all smell alcohol, right? It's very present there. But if you can dig a little deeper, is there some kind of sweetness or some kind of fruitiness or some kind of savoriness that's kind of hanging out there? Ooh, yes, cherry, absolutely. Yes, wood, right? This whiskey spent over 3 years aging in a wood barrel, right? So we should definitely get some wood notes. So my classic ones that I'm getting right now are some caramel and some vanilla, right? And those are barrel notes, right? So we're actually tasting molecular compounds coming from the barrel. So spend a few minutes here, a few seconds, just kind of nosing your whiskey, right? The next step in a guided whiskey tasting is we need to acclimate our palates, right? So I mean, it's Saturday, so you may have already had a little bit of whiskey for today, no judgment, right? But assuming this may be your first sip of high proof spirit for the day, we want to acclimate our palate. So let's take a tiny sip and kind of treat it like mouthwash. Really swish it around on your palate. This is what they call the Kentucky chew, right? So you just really want to coat your entire palate with that whiskey and then swallow it, but don't pay attention to anything that you taste. Right now, we're just activating those 5 major palate zones, right? So let's do that together.
A little eager.
Let's do that together, right? They're a little eager here. So a couple things might be happening to you if this is your first sip of whiskey for the day, right? Your tongues may be salivating. Your eyes might start to water. You might let out a cough, right? These are natural reactions to poison, which is what we just gave you. But have no fear, we're gluttons for punishment around here. So let's nose this whiskey one more time. Remember to always part your lips when doing so. Even while you're having that reaction on your palate, you might actually get something else jumping out at you on the nose that wasn't present there just a moment before. Is anybody getting something different on the nose? Yeah, that vanilla is coming through. It's kind of coming through more like a vanilla custard to me. Like it's a little bit, it's vanilla, but it's a little creamier to me for sure right now. And definitely a little bit of black tea notes that are kind of hanging out here. A little bit of orange, maybe like a citrus note. And these are some classic tasting notes that we always get on our 4-grain straight bourbon, but there are no right or wrong answers. So just remember that. You might be sitting at home and being like, well, I'm getting tobacco, right? There's no right or wrong answer. Whatever tasting notes you're getting from your experience there, that's what you're tasting and that's what you're nosing. But there are some classic ones that we can always look for. Definitely getting a little bit of a hay note, almost like a hayride. Grassy, yeah. Oh, do we say grassy? There we go.
Kelsey says
grassy,
or,
yep.
Or piney. I get
Piney,
I'm
yep.
I'm getting O's today. No.
Awesome. So hopefully you've had a moment to let your palate just kind of calm down from that first acclimation sip. Everyone is different. So just allow your palate to kind of mellow out. When you stop having that tingling feeling in your gums or that salivation on your tongue, you're ready to go in for your second sip of whiskey or whatever you have in your glass, right? And on this second sip, that's when we can truly judge this spirit. So we do lose 90% of people in the whiskey world on that first acclimation sip when they take that and they go, whoo, thank you, no thank you. I don't like drinking jet fuel, right? And the idea is you always have to acclimate your palate. You have to get past that first sip in order to truly judge that spirit. So let's take a second sip. I still like to really swish it around, coat my palate before I swallow it. And then together we can judge the 4-grain straight bourbon and see what we actually think of this whiskey. See, now I'm getting definitely a lot more chocolate notes. That tobacco note is present. It's kind of like a sweet tobacco though, not like a really heavy, like dark tobacco, but definitely like a little bit of a sugar cookie too, almost like a snickerdoodle finish for me. But that's that second sip, right? So that's your judgment sip. So now if we were to continue this tasting and take this 1 or 2 steps further, you could introduce a little bit of room temperature water, just like a droplet, right? It doesn't take a lot, and see how that opens up your whiskey, right? And on the opposite end of that spectrum, if you want to drop an ice cube into your glass, you can kind of see how that sort of tightens up that whiskey a little bit, the opposite of opening it up, but it's actually going to change that flavor profile for you. So anytime you're introducing water, ice, making a cocktail out of your whiskey, the one thing to remember is you're inherently going to be amplifying some tasting notes and muting others. So that's why we always acclimate our palate, take that judgment sip so that we have a baseline and we know what that whiskey tastes like. Then we can like start adjusting it and playing around with that whiskey to what we actually find palatable, right? So once you have your baseline and you know what that 4-grain straight bourbon tastes like, then adding your ice cube, you're like, ooh, yeah, that actually made it smoother for me. Or you introduce just a droplet of water and you're like, oh, wow, that brought out some crazy floral tasting notes that I didn't even find on my nose or on my previous taste. So that's when you can start playing around with the molecular compounds in your own glass. This is the fun with organic chemistry that I never got in college. I probably would have passed if they taught it to me with some whiskey. But yeah, that would be the next couple steps if you wanted to continue your whiskey education. And then depending on what you had for dinner, if you smoked a cigarette, if you brushed your teeth recently, right? All of these things can play into how you taste. So going back and revisiting that bottle a couple days from now, a couple weeks from now, you might get completely different tasting notes that you didn't pick up today. So that's definitely a way to continue your whiskey education. But yeah, that's our fun little 3-step process for how to nose that whiskey properly, taste that whiskey properly, and evaluate that whiskey properly. But yeah, cheers, y'all. Yeah, and now I'll hand it back over to Caleb for the rest of our virtual experience with you all this evening. So thank you so much for tuning in.
I don't know about you guys, but I smell a finish line.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's a
how
good
long
one.
were you waiting for that?
Oh, I had thought of that joke for like, I mean, we drove to Denver yesterday and it was like a 3-hour car drive because it was snowing. And so I thought of it during that traffic jam. But yeah, I was waiting for like 24 hours to say that. Yeah, in case you guys didn't know, I'm kind of a whiskey snob and a fanatic. So that's where this whole came in. It started off as me wanting an excuse to have whiskey and work blend together. And then it's turned into a really wonderful partnership. So thanks, Crystal. Really appreciate it. Okay, now to get to why we're all here, which is a lottery. And similar to whiskey needing 3 years to sit in a barrel to be tasteful, some of you have been sitting for 3 years in the lottery. So hopefully everybody that is in the lottery will get in, except for the fact that by virtue of having a lottery, not everyone gets in. So it's sort of a bittersweet moment. We know that there's going to be a lot of people who are really stoked, and there's going to be a lot of people who are really disappointed. The good news is you don't have to run the race to be a part of the race. You can come be a part of the community in a lot of different ways. You can pace a friend, crew somebody, volunteer, just come out and spectate. Come to the runs that we sometimes do or the parties. It's really wonderful. So don't feel like if you don't get into the race that you're not welcome at this race. You are always welcome here. So we hope, regardless of the outcome today, you're still going to be a part of this and spend some time in this to watch with us. I'm going to hand it over to Garrett. Garrett is our lottery coordinator. Garrett also ran in 2019. He got in, about 5 minutes before the gun went off, Garrett, I think?
Yeah, less than 5 minutes, but yeah.
So Garrett got in, and I think the big reason Garrett got in is because I told him, if you don't enter this year, it's a lottery next year. And about 3 months later, he reaches out and he's like, hey, so about that lottery, I want to help you with it. So he wrote the code, helped come up with the formula, does all of the app programming. So the cool app that you can put in numbers and run simulations and check your odds, that's all Garrett. So really thanks to Garrett for doing a shit ton of work for us. He's going to talk us through the lottery a little bit, the structure of the formula, and then he's going to start us off with setting the seed by flipping a coin. So Garrett, all you.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Garrett. Like Caleb said, I ran the race in 2019. I've got a PhD in economics from UC Berkeley, and I wrote a book on research transparency and reproducibility and open science. And I thought, like, why don't I do that in real life? So yeah, so I volunteered to run this race. I reached out to Caleb because it sounds like he had the right values for like what he wanted in a race, and the race itself was great. So yeah, so there's the app on the website. The exact same code for that app is on GitHub. This year, if people have been looking at it previously, I added the odds, so you can, thanks to my friend Hugh who wrote that little bit, you can see your odds in the race. You need to like enter in your volunteer shifts and your number of previous applications, etc. in order to, the website calculates for you your number of tickets. Then you just follow the link and find the odds for people with that number of tickets. Hopefully that's easy enough to follow on the website. And yeah, in the future, Caleb and I'm going to add some simulations with different weighting so that Caleb can, just implement the values that he wants in how long you should have to wait, and whether we value previous applications or previous finishes, is like having a nice mix and making sure that people who keep applying can actually get into the race. So I am going to flip a coin to start. So this is all done with R's pseudo random number generator. If we were being like super duper uptight about it, we would actually flip 32 coins, because that's like the maximum amount of entropy that like that R's random number generator can have. But 9 10-sided die is good enough for our purposes. So I'm going to flip a coin to determine whether it's positive or negative. Heads will be positive, tails will be negative. Then Caleb's going to roll the 9 10-sided dies. He actually likes to keep the He will announce the first 8 of them, and for like dramatic purposes, which is understandable, he will keep the last one of those secret so that everybody just doesn't enter it at home themselves and then leave. So I understand that. But he's actually going to text me that number so that I can enter it in like the official thing and send him a spreadsheet of the results. So I'm flipping a coin now. I got a regular quarter. Heads is positive, tails is negative. Are we ready, Caleb?
Come on in here.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I will catch it. So head, yes.
7, 8.
All right, it is tails. So it's a negative number, and take it away, Caleb.
Two.
We're good. Okay. We have a bunch of people here. We're gonna all take a time rolling dice, and then as Garrett said, we keep the last one secret just until we get done with the live thing. Otherwise, you could all just type it in, decide if you got in or not, and then bounce. So we're keeping you on the hook. We're sorry, but we're not sorry. So I want to do the last one.
Okay.
So
Start.
Kelsey, start us off.
Okay. Should I roll it first? There you go.
Yeah, roll it on there.
5.
Okay, 5. David, you want to go next? Sure. 1. All right, bring it over here. All right, 1. Who's next? All right. Heather or Jesse, you go first.
Or
We got a 6. Okay. 2. So when I bought these die, Kelsey thought I was buying these for my Dungeons and Dragons / LARPing days. We got a number 9.
Okay.
All right, John. D&D. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. Number 2. Okay. Ryan's rolling and 2. Ooh, a lot of 2s.
Yeah.
Okay. Kelsey,
Hannah?
roll one more. Where's the Hannah? Hannah already went?
Who
Okay.
didn't go? No?
No, I got the
All right.
last
All
one.
right. Here we go.
All right, second to last,
8.
8. Okay, no one say this one. Okay,
Mom's the word.
no one say this one. Okay, I gotta text it to Garrett real quick. Hold on. Okay, so
Let me confirm that thus far there was negative 516292228 and whatever you are texting me.
okay,
Got it.
I just sent you the text. Why don't you tell us when you get it, just in case I texted it to some random stranger?
My dad.
Yeah, Kelsey's dad.
Okay, I got it.
Got it. Okay, so I'm gonna step off screen for a minute and I'm gonna print out the results. And then we're gonna have a couple of our friends up here read them off with us. So hang tight for like, I don't know, minute, 2 minutes, and we'll be right back. The camera's gonna stay on so you can stare at us. We don't know how to turn it off really, so.
Say, oh, were we supposed to fill this dead space?
Yeah, Kelsey, tell us a story.
Oh, no. Crystal, hey, sorry, gotta go. Come on in. Tell us more about laws. Topic to discuss amongst yourselves. Whiskey. No, I'm just kidding. I can fill in the gap here. I could talk about whiskey all day long. So maybe something that we could chat to you all about is just a little bit about Law's Whiskey House. We have been distilling for 10 years. This is our 11th year we're going into. So, and been a part of the High Lonesome since its beginning. So it's been definitely a partnership that has served Law's Whiskey House as well as High Lonesome. We love working with you all. It's really fun to hear the folks that participate in the race when they come into the tasting room and kind of share their race experiences with us. So you all are massively impressive athletes to all of us. And it's a small token of our gratitude for your completion of the race to be able to give you all one of these engraved whiskey bottles, right? And something fun about our whiskey bottles is you can actually repurpose them. So you can save these beautiful engraved whiskey bottles and actually decant other spirits or wine if you happen to like aged red wine and actually use it as a decanter. So it's a really cool way to upcycle your empty Laws bottle. And of course, with these beautiful engravings on them, you know, these are not ones that you're just going to want to go and recycle, right? This is something you want to keep on your shelf or on your bar at home. So just remember that if it's empty, don't worry, you can still reuse it and repurpose it, which is also something really cool. There's tons of other ways that you can repurpose the bottles as well. We have a bunch of artist friends that will come in and they'll use these and they'll keep their paintbrushes in them. They can actually do different lights in them, like we've done candles in them, or actually make lights out of them with like the Edison bulbs. There's tons of different ways, if you're crafty in any sense of the word, that you can repurpose these bottles. So it's just another way that our distillery is trying to reduce, reuse, recycle, and kind of limit our footprint as far as production and things like that go. So definitely, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes, I love that. Yes, I would love that. Because there's so many fun ways that you can do different things with these bottles. So that's something fun to keep in mind. But also drink the whiskey that's in these bottles, right? As we mentioned in the beginning, if you have one of these sitting around, you know, and you're sitting at home, what better time to pop it open and enjoy that whiskey? Al Laws, our CEO and founder, always says, great whiskey is like a great story. It's meant to be shared, right? And it's meant to be shared amongst friends. And I think tonight is a really great evening of camaraderie of folks like-minded coming together for great causes as well. You know, the folks that are supporting the lottery this evening, they're actually nonprofit organizations. So it's just, once again, paying it forward. You know, the folks that are going to win those spots in the race this evening, it's still going towards a good cause. So I think that that's still something important to remember, and just something really cool that is an extended footprint of this High Lonesome race, right? It does extend to so many different avenues and how we can all stay connected in a time that feels like we're very disconnected because we're coming to you virtually, right? But of course, it does make us feel a little connected to share that glass of whiskey, to share that dram with you all this evening. So, yeah.
Can we hire you? I mean, I have to say, but
if you pay me in whiskey, you can pay me in whiskey, and you know, hey, I'll hang out, I'll talk all night long. I'll be with you all, folks. I'm sitting here. My gosh, has anybody gotten any new tasting notes maybe at home, sitting at home? Anything kind of opening up to you? A little bit of like a black licorice anise note is kind of popping out at me.
I was thinking some burnt sugar, which I didn't.
Ooh,
like caramel,
yes, a little
range,
burnt
but-
sugar, a little like that caramel note for sure. I also really love, since we just celebrated the holidays, those chocolate oranges that we get around this time of year, right? That you kind of hit and crack open. That's a tasting note or a smelling note I always get on our 4-grain straight bourbon. It's that chocolate and that citrus like together that definitely kind of shines through.
What's your favorite whiskey that Laws makes?
I love all my children equally. I am a very seasonal whiskey drinker, so it really just kind of depends. You know, right now going into ending winter time, I'm still kind of finishing off on some rye whiskeys. Those are my favorite go-to in the winter time. And then going into spring and summer, we make a 100% wheat whiskey, and that's one of my favorites for that kind of season. Then going into summer, I do love our 4-grain straight bourbon, and heading into the fall, our 100% barley whiskey, which is the closest thing to American single malt that we can make here. That's one of my absolute fall favorites. So there is a whiskey for every season, just like there is a whiskey for every drinker out there, for sure. So even if you've tried Laws and you're like, oh, that's not really my jam, keep trying other whiskeys, right? There's so many that are available to you, not only from Kentucky, but from Colorado, from Texas, from New York. There's so many different terroirs that are out there as far as whiskey is related to. So you'll find one that you like. Just don't swear off all whiskey based on one bad experience or one night with one whiskey that we all won't mention by name. But you know, like there's definitely other whiskeys, other flavor profiles out there. Ours being a 4-grain straight bourbon, there's a lot going on in this glass, right? There's a lot to dissect. There's a lot to unpack. So if you kind of find certain flavor tasting notes that you gravitate to, you'll be sure to find a whiskey that can bring those tasting notes to the forefront for you. So definitely encourage you to explore your whiskeys. If you want to come down, take a tour, come down and hang out with us and drink a whiskey flight, we're happy to nerd out with you folks and kind of talk you through the different styles of whiskey and how to interpret them, and really find one that speaks to you that you can just grab a hold and be like, this is my whiskey. This is the one that I love. Like I said, I love all my children equally. So
I will say, I really appreciate the way you guys, and I guess I haven't been to a ton of whiskey distilleries. I am a little bit monogamous, you could say. But I also will say I had those experiences in college. So I never really drank straight alcohol. And it wasn't until like one of the first times we came here, I think it was one of your distillers. It was just walking around and like ended up showing me how to taste it. And I so appreciated that because truly, like you said, it is kind of like very affronting at first if you just take it on. But the way you guys walk through it has given me such an appreciation for the spirit, like, and in a way that I find very palatable, which is you would ask Caleb, like she doesn't touch just like straight alcohol. I love a good mixed drink. I love a good cocktail, but like straight alcohol, I don't. And I think you guys do it in such a way. It's so approachable. And to bring out all the notes, like it's really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're a bunch of self-proclaimed whiskey nerds. So, you know, that's really what we're diving into. We just want to teach you how to appreciate whiskey and how to dissect it and how to pick out the things that you like about it. And then, you know, go forth, follow your heart, find the whiskey that speaks to you, that really gravitates to those tasting notes, right? And if you come and chat with us in the tasting room and share some of those tasting notes with us, like we drink a lot for you, you know, so that we're dialed in.
Research,
R&D.
Yeah.
So that we have those tasting notes, so that we have that knowledge that we can share with all of you. So if you're like, oh, well, you know, this is something that I do enjoy about it, but I don't really like, you know, the heat that's behind it. You know, we can tell you, okay, great, you might like something at a little bit lower proof. So
come on in,
right.
RD.
Okay.
And that's my time.
Thanks. So I budgeted about 60 seconds for what just took us about 5 minutes. So
You are lucky we got Crystal.
shit, I lost my whiskey.
There
Thank you. Okay. All right. So we have verified that Garrett and I are looking at the same numbers. Those numbers match the die we rolled, so we aren't reading the wrong results. So we're gonna split this.
Sit down.
Yeah,
Step
grab
on
a
up.
seat.
You can come right in.
So I'll just intro people. So we've got Heather Josie. She's gonna be on the Q&A. John Davis, also gonna be on the Q&A. You know us. And then this is Jesse, also on the Q&A.
And Hannah, come on in here, Hannah.
Also on the Q&A. So everybody here except Kelsey and myself have finished the race, which makes us the oddballs out. So
Embarrassing.
see, we didn't know how many people were going to pitch up. So
1,
let's
2,
do.
3, 4, 5.
All right, Heather, you want to read us the first? Let's do first 20 ladies.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Come on, Heather.
Uh,
Are they numbered?
They are numbered.
Yes.
Actually, you can't read these. I'm going to let Kelsey read the first 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Heather. I wonder why that is. That's weird. Whatever. All right. Number 1, Emily Kleinberg. Number 2, Neil Gold. Hannah Alt. Heather Josie. Oh, I should say, very sorry, by the way, if we do not pronounce your name correctly.
Yeah.
It is not because we don't care about you. It is just because we're dumb. So.
Very true.
Sarah Willis. Suzanne Euler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Corey Gianni Engel. Catherine Williams.
Yeah.
Katie Hemphill. Hillary Matheson. Kara Rourke. Kendall Chastain.
Nice.
Celinda Heinel.
Ooh, course record holder.
Ooh, trouble. You ready? Crystal Lance, Megan Cogswell, Alexandra Middleman, Elizabeth Nesbitt, Katie Brown, Marina Hobson, and number 20, Laura Knoll.
Nice.
Who am I going to next? Heather?
Now let's switch to dudes.
Oh, dudes. Go to dudes.
Dudes. Mr. Davis. First 20 men.
Yeah, that's
Where
correct.
does it start? Right at the gap, right there. 67.
Put it on the stand straight up.
Okay.
First one, Ben Harner. David Throw. Doesn't have an age. Michael Fenzel. I'm really bad with names, so. Sam Helgren. Clay Mathry.
Just go all in. You just got to act
Say
confident.
with
Carl-
confidence.
Cam. Ivan Got it.
Spell it.
Schwent.
Schwent. I like the accent. Sounds good. Joseph D. Do you know that one?
Alessio.
Let Jesse in on
Alessio.
that one?
Yeah, it's Italian.
These are tough. David Curtin. Yeah. What is this one? Joshua. What would that be? Holler? Holler.
Josh Holer. He's our neighbor.
Chris. Is that Chris P? I'm assuming.
If I keep reading over your shoulder, is it easier if I just read them?
Yeah, go for it. Really, I just want. I have
Just
a
say
few
it with
that
confidence. Just lean into it, Josh.
okay, Crisp Watson.
Chris Watson.
Josh Branham. I'm just bad with the names. Corey Leppert. Zachary Marin. Trevor Medding. Matthew. What is that one? Menatcher. Ryan Cooper. Neil Taylor. David Kelty.
That's probably
Nicholas Robinson. That's-
Well done,
okay.
John.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's very stressful to read names in front of a live audience.
Mike.
Okay.
Mike.
Heather, well, she's gonna go next.
Go next. Okay.
You want to start
At
at 21.
21 to 40, correct?
Mhm.
All right, number 21. Sarah Warner. Leslie Lane. Rachel Kelly. Silke Coster. Coaster?
Ex-course record
Okay,
holder.
yeah. Catherine Dickman. Lauren Milton. Allison Dunn. Rachel Ballard. Lindsay Joyce. Caitlin Yonk. Lieko Early. Sorry. Marnie Scallard. Kristen Kovach. Lori Foringer.
Oh,
Right on.
Lori.
Jennifer Heaslip. Catherine McClure. Delia, oh dear. Hulu Kundis. Gabrielle Harris. Audrey Hambright. And Angela McKnight.
Awesome.
Well done.
Awesome.
I ended at 40.
Oh, I already ended at 86.
Jesse, I'm gonna stop.
Here,
You want to run maybe like. So?
87.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carlos Barra, Stephen McDonald, Martin Sengo, Craig Britzel, David Skelly, another David, Jamie Child.
Jamie.
Don't we know him?
Yeah, we know him.
Okay.
Jamie Shield, I think is.
Shield, okay. I was looking.
It's amazing.
I was like, I don't know why
Come on.
you guys like run together every week.
Joseph Chick, Tom Simmons, Randy Shemansky, Nathan Wendell, Zane McFarlane, Jay Steinberg, Benno Rawlinson, Michael Traub.
Awesome. Okay. David, do you want to run a few more dudes? Sure. And then Michael Traub. Yeah.
All right, we've got Sean Strauss,
Oh.
Michael Manganiello, Caleb Chastain, Andrew Pollard, Carol Balloon, Dirk Renner, Richie Dart, Nathan Morgan, Stuart Duncan, Conrado Bermudez, Marty Vokes, Richard McDonald, Guy Love, Jeff Bertot. Nice. Okay. And Hannah, you want to close out the ladies for us?
41.
Yeah, 41.
Misty Wright, Tracy O'Brien, Michaela Malecki, Greta Gledberg, Samantha Lewis, Hillary Osborne, Tara Ferguson, Aga Fine, Lindsay Rust, Sheva Willoughby, Tara Warren, Amanda Debvik, Ann Pike, Allison Johnson, Janet Huskin, Sarah Lavender Smith, Lauren Bolt, Katie Miller, Linda Watch. Where do you want me to
I'll
go?
just read them all off.
Okay.
Take us home, Hannah. Take us home.
Leanne Thompson, Jenny Prim, Jatlak Chavan, Lisa Verways, Jill Price, Honey Albrecht, Leah Anderson.
Nice. Okay. You guys all did it. What was the last one? No, it was just Jeff. Okay. All righty. So that's all of the ladies. I'm gonna finish up the men. We've got Kurt Foster, Ghislaine DeVuton, Mike Cassidy, Brian Wetzel, Ben Connors, Zachary Vine. Yeah, dude. Zach's been trying for 3 years and has volunteered for almost all of them. So that's pretty sweet to see. Russell Wenz, Adler Edward, Tate Knight, Kyle Moss, David, I'm gonna butcher this one.
Which number are you at?
That one. Menches.
Menches.
Menches. I'm gonna go with that. Sky Thompson, Joe Stork, and last but certainly not least, from Golden, Colorado, Mike Hefty. All right. Okay. Now, I didn't print this one off, but we're going to read the top 10 on the wait list because top 10 on the wait list are pretty damn good odds to get in. So, Kelsey, do you want to read the top 10? Oh, no.
Oh no, is it
Oh,
the
no.
internet?
It's making me re-enter the seed.
Oh no,
Right
you should have
now.
taken a screenshot.
Okay, John Davis, read me off the seed.
5,
No,
Well,
read them
no,
all.
no, it's
Everybody
okay.
knows.
Yeah.
5, 1, 6, 2, 9, 2, 2, 8, 5.
The secret
Cliffhanger there.
number.
All right, let's see. That is the correct one. Okay. So first on, yeah, gotta double check. Okay, so first on the men's wait list. Remember, this is just the first 10. Everybody else will get those in email coming. So fret not. Fret not. Okay, top 10 men. We got Aaron Shimmons, John Ripsum from Salida, Colorado. That's a local. Congrats, John. Eric Nelson, Christopher Eveland, Tony Mick, James Flannery, Justin Hollenbeck, Mike Raymer, Elijah Flenner, Dan Hopper. All right, that's the first 10 for men. Kelsey, first 10 ladies.
All right, we have Julie Schmall, Devin Yanko, Phoebe Erdman, Nyliva Corley, Asa Crum, Melissa Rogers. I gotta look, 1, 2, 3. Oh, how convenient. Christina Dennison, Rachel Meyer,
Yeah,
Trena Chelino, and Annie Hughes.
excellent.
All right.
Okay, awesome. Well, congratulations to everybody who got in. Congratulations to the waitlisters. I'm gonna go off screen and send everybody notifications. So you won't
Emails
see
coming
me.
your way.
Check your email. just so you know, we went a little over on our scheduling. So we're going to leave the raffle spot, which benefits CFI, open until, let's do 7:10. Originally, it was 7 o'clock. We're going to do 7:10 to buy you guys extra time. So Brian is working tirelessly to calculate all your ticket counts. So if you want to get in through the charity raffle, go to the link that's in the video description, or go to the homepage of the website, or go to the Facebook, or go to the Instagram. It's in a lot of places. Everything benefits CFI, so it's a great place. There's also pretty good odds right now, so don't sleep on that. Kelsey and I are going to leave. David's going to take over and do some Q&A with the panel. So if you have any questions, especially if you just got in or you're waitlisted and you got some burning questions now that your skin's on the line, make sure to ask them in the chat. Kelsey will be moderating that. So if you ask good questions, they'll come up. If you don't ask good questions, they still might come up.
Or I might kick you out. We'll see. No, just kidding.
She's a little power hungry. All right. Congratulations to everybody, and hope you enjoy the Q&A.
All right, so once again, I'm David Fox. I'm the volunteer director for the race for High Lonesome. And one of my favorite things sitting here tonight was hearing a lot of former volunteers get picked. So I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to pitch volunteering to help your odds. If you're one of those people who's a little upset you didn't get in tonight, volunteering is one of the best ways to help your odds get in. So we'd love to have you. Like Caleb said, it's a great community, super fun, even if you don't get to run the race. Just an absolutely fun weekend, probably my favorite weekend of the year. So come on out and join us. If you want to sign up to volunteer, it is live on the Run Sign Up page for High Lonesome. So you can do that today if you feel like it. We're just going to ask a few questions. Probably a lot of people are super excited and / super nervous to run after they just heard their name pulled. So these folks here can give you a little bit of information about the race and maybe get you even more pumped to run. So we'll start with some introductions. We'll just go from this side to this side. If you guys can just tell us who you are, when you ran the race, what years you run the race, and since I'm the volunteer director, what's your favorite aid station and why?
My name is Jesse Perugine.
Oh,
I ran.
hold on.
Jesse Perugine ran in 2019. It was my second 100. And my favorite aid station is St. Elmo's because that's the aid station that I captain. So I'm biased.
My name is Hannah Hoff. This was my first 100-miler, and I ran in last year, 2020. I think my favorite aid station was also St. Elmo because it was just a really good pick-me-up. So.
I'm John Davis. I have run 17, 18, 19, and 21. So all of them. And it's a great race. It's super fun. Favorite aid station, I would say I think it's Tin Cup. That's where you get to the aid station and there are like a whole bunch of magical unicorns right there. It's a pretty great aid station.
I'm Heather Josie. I ran it in 18 and 19, and then I did run last year, but I DNF'd. My favorite actually is probably Tin Cup as well, because you're almost to Hancock, and then the rest of the hard stuff comes. So they're always excellent, and they're super cheerful.
Good energy there.
So we'll leave it down here for right now. Yeah. Hopefully they can hear me from here. We'll leave it with you guys. So you've each run it multiple times. What do you think you learned from your first experience, and how did you incorporate that into your training and kind of experience-wise, what have you learned and that can help others to get through this?
I think what's most beneficial is you guys put out the split times. And for me, it was very helpful for the second year because I know I'm probably not going to get faster as I get older, but I know where I could save time, and that's the aid stations.
Yeah.
So that was huge for the second year because I was able to shave off, I don't know, a couple hours just by cutting down aid station time. Just trying to stay really efficient and fix what you can fix, and not worry about what you're probably not going to improve on. I think that was the best thing for me.
Year to year, I agree with that. The splits and seeing how much time I can actually waste in an aid station is impressive. But also learning this race has a really nice mix of terrain, and there are several sections that are quite runnable. And you can make up a whole bunch of time on those runnable sections if you can save some energy for them. Coming out of Monarch, like there's a big long descent, and then you're on this kind of dirt road that goes through campgrounds, and it's slightly downhill for a lot of it. And if you can actually run that section, you can make up a whole bunch of time. And then the last like 18 miles or so, I would say on the Colorado Trail, same kind of thing. If you can save some energy for that, that's a lot of runnable sections there. And yeah, that's what I've learned.
All right, we will switch to the other end of the spectrum for first-time 100-milers. Hannah, since this was the first 100-miler you ran, what is one piece of advice that you think you could give to people for doing this race as your first 100? And then what do you think is one thing maybe you missed in your training that you didn't get right leading up to this race?
I think one thing that was beneficial for going into the 100-miler as a first-time racer was the community that surrounds this race. If you just voice, your expectations, your wants, your needs, your fears, all of that, people will line up and support you and help you and answer all these questions. If you don't have pacers, post it on the Facebook. If you have questions about aid stations or gear, any of that, it's super helpful to just reach out. There's nothing to be embarrassed about because everybody starts somewhere. So that was really helpful. And just the comfort level of this race, it's very easy to walk in a newbie and feel comfortable. So if it is your first one, go kick some ass because it's really fun. One thing I think I missed on my training, I could have done some more night running. I think that would have been more beneficial. But yeah, other than that, you just give it your all.
Bring it down, Jesse. Since you have the kind of unique experience of running the race and then captaining an aid station at the race at St. Elmo, no less. What do you think you felt differently about running the double laws pass out and back versus like standing there at the aid station, seeing people just about to start that and then come back over and their different interpretation? And then what do you think about that as kind of a crux of the race?
I mean, I think coming into St. Elmo, the biggest advice is to be at probably at the lower end of whatever you think your pace is. Take it very easy because it just gets dramatically harder from there. Because you do see people come in really excited and then not excited after, because you come back and then you have to just keep on climbing and then you get to the hardest part of the race. So I would just say, kind of keep it mellow, get to St. Elmo, do that double crossing, make sure you're eating, make sure you're relaxing, and walk out of that aid station ideally feeling good and not super super overworked. I had some really good advice from David, nonetheless, years ago about that, and definitely helped me. So, yeah.
Do you have any online questions, Kelsey?
Yeah,
okay. We've got a few more prepared, so we can keep rolling. We'll just keep it with you, Jesse, and kind of ask the same question to everybody. But maybe it's different for everyone. Maybe it's the same. But if you had one section of the race, if you only had one pacer available to you, what one section of the race would you have a pacer pace you?
I think it's going to depend for everyone personally, but clearly the overnight section from Hancock to Monarch is brutal. It's cold. It's dark for most of us. And yeah, you might want someone there, but if you're the type of person who can get through that, and you just need someone to help you rally at the end, maybe you want it from blanks to the end because that section is surprisingly difficult. Yeah.
I would agree with the ninth section. I think it's super individual on what your preference is, but having somebody to kind of keep you sane and alive at night when you're trudging through it was really helpful for me.
I prefer having somebody pace at the end for the last like 18 miles. Usually I'm pretty wrecked by then. And if I had one pacer, just that section to help push me. I had a friend, Ryan, pace me on the first year, I think it was, and he crushed me, but I ran really, really well. And I learned a lot that I can actually push a little harder than I thought I could. I prefer the night section by myself because I find that when I am running by myself and I don't have a pacer, I focus more and I'm paying attention to things. When I have somebody running in front of me, I just kind of zone out and let them kind of navigate. And honestly, I don't remember sections of the course when I have a pacer. And when I'm by myself, I kind of have to focus and I remember pretty clearly all the different sections. So I prefer the end of the course when I'm struggling. Yeah.
I'd probably say it depends on the type of runner you are. I think if you're the person that rallies at the end, sorry, doing
Sorry.
if you can rally at the end, you might not need somebody with you, and you might want them at nighttime because it is lonely. Like Jesse said, it's dark and cold. And that being said, the course is so well marked. If getting lost is a fear, and that's why you want to have a pacer with you, I don't think that's a concern. I've never ran into a situation where you didn't have adequate markings. So really, when do you want a friend with you? Is it when you're in the nighttime, or do you want them there when you're slogging at the end?
You have one?
Okay, I got a bunch actually. All right, so the first one was from Leanne Thompson. Any other tips for first timers? I'm gonna add on to that too. And/or what were you most surprised about in your first time, right? So I think that all kind of rolls together. You might need to repeat the question.
Yeah. So I'll repeat the question real quick, and it's from Leanne Thompson. And the question is, any more tips for first timers? And sorry, what was the other part?
I said Kelsey bonus. What were you most surprised about?
Well, yeah, what were you most surprised?
During your first time.
Yeah, about the course and just about the experience. What were you most surprised about at the race? Anybody?
I'll start. What I was most surprised about was the first climb, really, like right out of the gate. You anticipate you're going to have all these fresh legs and good energy and the excitement of the start. Everybody is really eager and anxious to, set the pace and get in their line. But I was surprised at how hard that climb was, going out completely fresh. And then the, ramifications of that afterwards if you do go too hard. So I just suggest settle into a really slow, easy, comfortable pace and, be okay with that because you have so much more time to accommodate for that. So that would be my.
Yeah. Going back to more advice that I got from other people and stealing it, like David and Simon back in the day. The race is super front loaded. So that section after Hancock 50 miles on is absolutely terrible and difficult. But like the first climb, like Hannah was saying, is huge. And then you do Laws Pass 2 times. So just kind of try to take it easy. And by the time you get to 50 miles, make sure you're eating, you get your pacers. And then if you really feel like you want to push after you get to Monarch. But don't have any expectations until then.
Yeah, I agree. The front, the first 30 miles, that's a big chunk of climbing there. And then you still have a lot of climbing in the rest of the race, but that's like a big chunk that you get out of the way. Maybe don't go out super, super hard and blow yourself up coming down from the saddle of Antero. You can run that. It's a pretty long descent. You can do some damage to your quads. So I would say don't try to crush that. but you can, it's definitely a runnable section. The section after Tin Cup, I guess, you go up a bunch of switchbacks and then you're up high for a long time. Really enjoy that section. It's so beautiful, and you're up high for a long time, and then you end up on this like old railroad track downhill for forever, which is a little rough, but it's that section up high is absolutely amazing.
I think my biggest piece of advice is get as much time on the course as you possibly can. If you have the luxury of living in Colorado, you could maybe skip that first start to Raspberry section. But I would absolutely run the next 85 miles at some point during your training in chunks, of course. But you should be familiar with what Antero feels like, because it can be a bear. And then the most surprising part to me was actually the last 30 miles, because it was every year. It's, well, except for this year, but I didn't get to experience it, but it's hot, and there are just cumbersome climbs. And for guys who are fast, it's very runnable, but there are runnable sections, but there are some sneaky climbs that they just keep coming. And if you can at least have run that section once, you'll know, okay, it's runnable from Gooses to Blanks.
Right.
And Blanks to Raspberry kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Katie Williams wants to know, are there any online communities like Discorders that are out to meet others for training?
Okay, so the question is about communities to meet others for training, and maybe I'll take online. Online.
Where you hook up with people, where we'll find buddies or things.
Yeah, so I mean, I might take part of this one, and I can ask others what their thoughts are too. But I mean, I know High Lonesome, if you're in, there's a Facebook runners group specifically. So I think that's great, communicate. I see people on there all the time talking about, coming out to run the course in certain times. And, I think even more, that's great if people can organize their own runs on the course. Like Heather was saying, it's super valuable to do that. I mean, even if you can have the, like you said, luxury of living here, even if you maybe have the luxury of coming out for a weekend and spending three days on the course, I think it's super valuable. Just to know what that feels like. And then in general, I would just say, look online in your local community and find some local running groups. Like here, I would say on Facebook, Meetup, even Instagram, you see run clubs. Just anywhere you can on social media, find a local running group that inspires you. And likely there are multiple running groups in your area. They're all over the place, and find one that fits your needs, and it has a community that you like, and join up, and don't be afraid to go. I mean, I've gone to several running groups and lead one, and I would say, like, not every group is for everybody, but you're going to find a group of people that you want to run with, and it's super helpful for training. I don't know. You guys want to add to that?
That's perfect.
I think finding friends to run with keeps you, honest in training too, and it gets you out there, and that's what you need to do to run these things.
Yeah, I was just thinking today, even we did a little group run this morning with some of the folks here, and like I got there a little early to do a few miles, and I was like, oh, those miles were rough in the snow and the cold. And then these people showed up, and we ran together, and it was like we knocked out 7 miles, and it felt like we didn't even run. So that sometimes running by yourself is great, but the community is what makes this whole sport what it is. So get out there.
Ready for some more questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Mark Erickson wants to know, how do you stay on top of nutrition during the race? I think John wants to answer this.
It starts in training, and you got to try different techniques and see what works for you, whether it's liquid calories, which work generally pretty well for me, and then they don't all of a sudden. But test things out. The aid stations are great. There's all kinds of food I generally stick to tailwind or usually tailwind. And so I don't even eat a lot of the food at the aid stations. But test and see what works for you. Also, if you can get up high to do testing, because that's, for me, it's more difficult to eat solid foods and liquid calories go down quite easily up high. So if you can get up high on training runs, test out food up there and see what works well for your stomach.
And I'd probably add to that, I mean, it's different if you're a first timer, but if you can try to know what sections include what climbing and where the aid stations are. I'm an over preparer. So my drop bags have everything I need. I don't really need the aid station food. And if I need something else, I can grab it. But tailwind doesn't work for me. So I use all my own drink mixes, which requires, like I said, over preparing. But just knowing what works for you and staying disciplined is really the key. Don't guzzle a bunch of water at the top of Antero because it might spoil your race later.
Add nutrition.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what everybody else said. That it's super individual, and I like what Heather said, that it's like you have to be disciplined too. So like, if you find something that works with you, don't be like all willy-nilly, like stick to it because that's what works for you. And remember, yeah, and everybody's different. Don't feel judged. Don't feel pressured to do anything. Just try everything. Yeah, I only do gels, so yeah, I wish.
Yeah, more.
Yeah. Okay, so Delia, this is wanting to know if you were to prioritize one aid station to have a crew visit, which would it be?
All right, so I'm going to repeat the question because I don't think I did that the last time. If you only had one aid station to have crew visit you and support you, what aid station would that be? Let's start down here.
Yeah, so Monarch is my first guess, but then, and there's a lot that goes into that because of reaching Monarch is easy but long, but I almost want to say that blanks might be better because that's toward the end of the race. Yeah, it's hard to know, but Monarch, it's very cold, very dark, and it would be nice to see friendly faces. Blanks is closer to the end of the race and it will be daytime for the most part. So maybe that.
Yeah, I would say Monarch, but I think again, it's individual and it depends on the racer that you are, whether, you're really strong through the night or you need a little pep up at the end, whatever your preference is. But I would say probably Monarch. It's a good solid 50-mile mark. It's cold, it's dark for some of us, most of us. But, yeah.
I don't.
It's a toss-up between, I think, Hancock and blanks for me because if you're efficient, Hancock could be fast, but you have to switch over from your day pack to your night pack. So unless you have 2 packs and they're ready to go, you might eat up a lot of time if you don't have someone there helping you, prepping you, getting everything done for you, because there's no way I could do it myself. I would lose half of my crap. But then blanks just makes you want to cry. So having someone there to be like, get out of here, I think that's huge.
Yeah, I'm so good at wasting time in aid stations. So anybody that can kick me out of there as quickly as possible, that's where I want, I want mean friends that at any of them to get me out quickly because I will waste a lot of time. Yeah.
Okay, I got another one from Kara Rourke. She wants to know any advice for preparing for running at elevation if you won't be able to do much training, if any, at significant elevation. It's a tough one, you guys all.
Yeah, this is a tough one for our panel because we all live in Colorado, but the question is, if you can't train at elevation, what advice would you give to runners who don't have that opportunity that would help them with this race? Start down here.
very consistent in your training and just build your engine as consistently and slowly as you can. And I think that's only going to help with the entire, even if you live high or not, but just making sure that you're training consistently and building your engine properly.
Yeah, I'd try to find a weekend or a couple days where you can go somewhere and, spend a day at elevation, just so you know what it feels like to perform and have, be sucking air and still have to do a climb, because that's a very real feeling that you can't really replicate.
Yeah. Get one of those cool tent things that you sleep in.
Oh.
I've never seen one, but sound cool.
Heat training.
Yeah.
Yeah, run in the hot. That'll make you feel miserable too. Yeah. I think that's a great idea, Kelsey. Just make yourself feel miserable, and that equates to altitude. It's good. That's good.
That's all I got for questions in the chat right now.
Okay. Well, I have a question I want to ask Hannah probably, which is you kind of have a unique experience last year of not only was it your first 100, but your husband was training for 100 at the same time, and you had a toddler.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about the challenges there and how you prioritize time? And I mean, any 100-miler takes a ton of time to get ready for this race, especially with how hard it is. So yeah, I think it'd be great to hear your experience with that and how you would advise others in similar situations.
Sure. First of all, I would say find a very understanding partner and reciprocate that. It's pretty easy to go into it with expectations, and I would just say don't have that. If you end up needing to do your long run at night, do the long run at night. If you need to wake up at 4, do it at 4. This is Ophelia. I did a lot of my training on a treadmill while she was napping. So I was fortunate enough, she was still taking like a 2-hour nap. So that was very nice. And so a lot of my, quote unquote, medium runs could be on a treadmill. And then my husband and I would alternate. So I would just say also be really flexible. It's hard because you want to plan it out exactly how it should look. But, if she's sick one day, you got to switch it to the next day. If you want to go back to Lala? Just kind of be prepared that it can be actually somewhat easy if you have no expectations on how it should look. It's all going to work out how it's supposed to. And if it doesn't, don't worry too much about it because you'll make up for it. You'll find the time. I think that was the biggest thing. You think you don't have the time, but when you prioritize it and it's important to you, you do. So that's what I would say. Find a flexible partner and be flexible.
How much was it to see you at 8 stations?
It was really fun to see her at 8 stations. Yeah. It was definitely encouraging.
All right, so I'll just go ahead and ask a super generic question, but I think probably one people all want to know. What is each of your favorite sections of the course? Maybe like 8 station to 8 station, or even a little longer section if you think that's what qualifies.
Well, for me, if you can run it in the day, which is you're either, up there in the race or you just go out and run the course. But from Elmo to Hancock is incredible. That Tin Cup section in between, it's really beautiful. So that's my favorite part to run. And also you're like early in the race, so you're still feeling semi-fresh and you can maybe enjoy it. By the time you get to Hancock and you get into like the big mountains and you start getting like angry. So you might not actually have fun, even though it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's hard because there's different things about each section. I really like St. Elmo to Hancock too. I think you get to really enjoy the scenery. We ran a lot of that together, so it was, I was coherent and happy, and I was having conversations. And So yeah, it's really beautiful, and you know, every turn kind of surprises you by how pretty it is.
And Hannah and I got to see three moose,
Yeah,
three moose in that
Three
section.
moose,
So
yeah. So
trudging,
that was cool.
trudging through the bushes was
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
I really love the hill at the end, the last mile.
That's a lie.
It's a road hill that is like mile 99 to 100 or something like that, and it's horrific. I would say I like that section from Tin Cup to what is it?
Alpine Tunnel or to Hancock?
To Hancock. Just you get these fun switchbacks that are like in this dense forest. It feels it's a neat section there, and then once you get up above tree line, you're just on these rolling hills, and you can see other passes and other peaks. It's incredible up there. I also love the top right when you get to the top of the Antero Pass and you look back and it's like giant. It's so beautiful up there. It's really cool.
I would agree at Tin Cup to Hancock for sure. Because those switchbacks coming out of Tin Cup are almost all runnable. And then if you're lucky enough to do it during the day, it's really mostly all runnable. The climbs are very gentle. There's some power hiking, but it's a lot of, you can move fast if you can make your body do it. It's a little harder at nighttime. So having experienced both, I'd say try to get it done during the day and come into Hancock right before the sun goes down.
No, I was just gonna say that's super surprising. No one said the climb coming out of Lost Wonder Hut up to the ridge is their favorite part of the course. I'm so surprised about that.
That section is
So hard. So hard. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. This question is from Ryan Smith, who had asked how each person organizes their time and manages their time in aid stations. Sounds like maybe this question should be for John to start with, since he's mentioned this a couple times.
I don't.
Use Brian to kick you out.
I'm just bad at it. Next question.
Heather.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on how I'm feeling. If I'm having a pity party, I tend to sit and want to complain about things. I mean, for me, I would like to be the person who just gets my stuff and gets out of there as quickly as possible. And so that's what I'm working toward. But I'm really just not very good at it yet.
Do you set a timer on yourself at all? Give yourself hard stops or no?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't set a timer. Yeah, I don't have a plan. My plan, yeah, I just want to get it. I don't have a plan. And so hopefully this year, I will not. That's right, it's terrible. Hopefully this year I will not spend an hour and a half in aid stations.
I'm super type A, so I write out my whole race plan, and like I said, the split times, planning for the second year and the third year, I looked at the aid station time and I tried to not spend more than 5 minutes at all the smaller aid stations and 10 minutes at the larger ones. And I think I allowed myself 15 at, I don't know, Hancock, Monarch, one of them. Anyway, I try to keep it very disciplined because that's the only way that I can cut time. And knowing that going into the race and knowing, okay, I'm only going to spend 5 minutes here. If you know that, then it helps you be efficient.
I'm gonna write these down. Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
I think actually Jesse might have the record for least amount of time spent in aid stations at High Lonesome. When you look at the splits, how many minutes total did you spend in aid stations?
Like the 30s total.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like you just I don't use the aid station. I just
Yeah,
so
bad answer.
you just go in, you get what you need, and then if you need to have a pity party, you just walk and have a pity party. If it needs to be a downhill pity party for an hour, at least you're walking, at least you're moving, and you're not on the aid station. So that's about it. Like, cause it's not like I'm just like I'm just an average person. I just have a less than average time in the aid station. So just get out of them and keep on moving. And then also, I never stepped foot in Monarch, and I never will if I run the race again. It's way too cozy. Don't go in there.
It is nice.
Yeah, just stay cold, meet your crew, and leave.
I think communicating with your crew ahead of time and having, like she said, a really strict plan was helpful, because when you're feeling down and tired and all you want to do is sit, to have somebody say you're not allowed, walk. Like you said, if you're going to have a pity party, walk and have a pity party. So that would be my advice. Just communicate with your crew, have a really solid plan, and don't get cranky when they enforce your plan.
Okay, I think we're ready to wrap up the Q&A. Just thanks to Heather, John, Hannah, Jesse. Really appreciate it. I hope all you that are out there listening got something out of this. I think again, the community is open. The Facebook page, anything you can do, reach out. I think any of us would be happy to answer questions. I know I love talking about the race. So do these people too. So don't ever feel like this is your only chance to ask questions. We love to talk to you guys and help you through it. We want 100% finish rate, and if we can help that in any way, that'd be great. So with that, I think we will bring Caleb back on, and we're gonna do the raffle for the charity entries, and we'll get moving. Thanks a lot. All right. All right. Well, I've got good news. The reason that took so long is because we had an incredible turnout for the raffle. And also thanks to the Q&A panel for doing a really awesome job answering questions. Thanks to Kelsey for moderating. We're gonna do this all over again in March. So after you've had some miles under your belt and you got more questions, great chance. So, but now let's do the raffle. So I've got Brian here. Brian is, what's your title?
Development and communications manager.
Manager. So I called you coordinator earlier. I apologize.
Sorry,
Okay, so Brian's been promoted to manager. CFI is an amazing group. Brian's going to talk to you guys a little bit about why we partner with them and the kind of work they do. To everybody who put in for the raffle, Brian will give the numbers here in a second, but really appreciate you guys donating to a really incredible cause. I'm going to let Brian do the talking from here on out. So Brian, tell us more.
Great. Yeah. Thanks everybody for showing up tonight and making this a pretty overwhelming evening compared to prior numbers that Caleb had shared with me. It sounds like we crushed it and blew it out of the water. So
blew it out of the water.
Thank you to all of the High Lonesome participants. I'm Brian Sargent. I've worked with the Colorado 14ers Initiative since 2015. CFI is a nonprofit based in Golden, Colorado, and we build and maintain hiking trails on Colorado's 14,000-foot peaks. Our mission is to protect and preserve the natural integrity of those natural resources. Colorado has 54 14,000-foot peaks, which is more than any other state in the lower 48. Those 14,000-foot peaks are home to the largest ecosystem of alpine tundra in our country. The alpine ecosystem is super unique, and that as soon as you step above tree line, you're entering into kind of a whole different world, ecologically speaking. The plants are incredibly fragile. and take a really long time to grow. It's estimated that in the Alpine, it takes up to 1,000 years for 1 inch of soil to be deposited. So we're working in these ancient areas. Obviously, these are high traffic areas that people are frequenting, recreating on in our state. So in 1994, when we were founded, there were only 2 planned trails out of those 54 peaks. So there was a lot of ecological damage happening, severe erosion as the population kind of boomed in Colorado. Our organization had come in with the effort of building new trails that are sustainably designed, located in areas where they're not trampling through native vegetation or plants that might not be found anywhere else on the planet. So we utilize both paid staff that live and work in these remote locations, building new trails, constructing these intricate staircases out of 400, 500-pound rocks. And then we utilize volunteers who come from across the country, actually, to do single day and multi-day trail maintenance and restoration projects to help maintain these areas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When we founded the race in 2016 and we're working towards getting stuff set up for the first running in 2017, I reached out to 3 different nonprofits in the state of Colorado. 2 of them didn't really want to work with a running event because they weren't really sure how they felt about running events on trails. And so I reached out to CFI and they jumped on board. And so they've been our longest lasting nonprofit partner. We've raised far and away the most money for them. They also have, I think, arguably the hardest job. I mean, 14ers are an incredible tourist attraction. There's 15 in the Swatch alone. We run around, 4 or 5 of them? Yeah. So, they're incredibly dense in some places and they get hammered. And CFI does incredible work. They've been gracious enough to allow us to join along on some of their volunteer days. Yeah. We've done work days every single year. We bring anywhere from 15 to 30 people out for them. So it's been really great seeing the support tonight and people donating and raising money. This is I'm not really quite sure how to scale this properly, but
so I'll kind of lead in, I guess, with like the overall impact that you guys have had, because it's been phenomenal support that we've gotten from High Lonesome. All of the participants and the staff have become good friends of ours. So since 2016, High Lonesome runners have donated more than 500 hours to trail maintenance projects. Using the independent sector value for volunteer labor that represents more than $15,000 that CFI as a nonprofit can use for matching in our different grants and that sort of thing. So $15,000 in value. As of 2021, the registration fees and the opt-out, I guess, the money that people pay when they opt out of doing the trail maintenance, we had raised $23,000. And after this evening, we have raised an additional $7,000. Over $30,000, which is pretty crazy.
So just to put this in some perspective, this is the second time we've done this style during the lottery. We've done this every year, but this is the second time we've done it in a lottery. And last time we did $1,200, and there was, I think, maybe like 8 or 9 people in the lottery or raffle. This year we did over $7,000.
$7,100.
Yeah, $7,100. And how many unique donations?
62 unique donations. Obviously, depending on the amount that they gave, that's a certain amount of raffle tickets. We had 1,300 raffle tickets.
Yeah. So I sent an email to everybody 3:30, and there was $20 in that. So I'm floored. Once again, thank you to the community for raising money. Obviously, there's going to be 61 unfortunately disappointed people, but you can know that your donations are going to a really important task. And CFI is dollar for dollar probably the most efficient group we've ever seen at turning your dollars into physical single track and restored ecosystems. So I guess without further ado, we're going to draw the name. We're using a random name generator on the internet. You can't really see. There's how many individual tickets in this thing?
1,347 names.
Okay. And that's one ticket per name. It equates to the dollar amount that people donated. So we're going to draw on On camera, we're going to draw 2 names. There's going to be a winner, and then there's going to be a backup winner in case for some reason, like I said before, the person who wins the first time either can't run or isn't qualified or something else like that. And then we'll draw a few more just off screen to make sure we've got some depth. And then we'll post the ticket counts too, just for transparency's sake. I'll probably get to that tomorrow, but okay.
You want to do the honor? or you want me to do it?
No, you do the
All right.
honor. I've never been this stressed before. This is insane.
With the,
I
with the
am
whiskey,
shocked. I
all
mean,
right.
well, that's true. Okay.
Winner name picker.
Okay. So first name drawn, Jim Skelding. Okay. Congrats to Jim Skelding. Okay. Our backup is going to be our second if we were dueling.
Jason Moore.
Jason Moore. Okay. All right, so Jim Skelding's gonna get an email from me in a little bit, and if Jim doesn't go, it goes to Jason, and then if they don't go, we'll send out other emails as needed. But seriously, seven grand. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. I'm shocked, but okay. I'm sorry, Whiskey Spirit House. Okay, that basically concludes the night. We're gonna bring everybody who's here, all the back staff, the Q&A panel, everybody come on up. We're gonna say thank you. We're gonna say cheers. I wish we'd had speakers so we could do like Chariots of Fire theme song here. Okay, Crystal,
Yes.
as our whiskey leader tonight.
Our spirit leader.
Our spirit leader.
Spirit leader.
Can I get a cheers? Can I get a cheers in the whiskey house? But yeah, I would be more than happy to lead us in this toast here this evening. So first of all, thank you all to everyone who has tuned in this evening via YouTube, via any which way that you found your way to this live stream. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your awareness with the help from the nonprofit CFI. Thank you to High Lonesome. This is such an amazing experience, even though we're doing it virtually this year. We hope you feel connected. We hope you feel like you're here with us, even though you're through the cameras this evening. But thank you to everybody here to put this on this evening. Even though it is virtually, it does take a village, just like it does here at Law's Whiskey House. That's one of our mantras. It takes a village to make this whiskey. So it certainly takes a village here. So thank you all. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, that concludes our 2022 lottery. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We hope to see you in person on March 19th when we do our annual kickoff party. It's a great time, benefits numerous nonprofits, including CFI again. So it's a great opportunity for us to keep supporting our local trails. Thanks to everybody here for showing up, and congratulations to our winners, our commiserations to the people who didn't get drawn in the lottery or the raffle, but we hope we see you at the race otherwise. And if we don't, we'll see you in the 2023 lottery. And with that, good night.
Woo!